Hi, ladies and gentlemen. So this time around, I want to tell you about the browser and try and figure out why do we use it, how do we use it, what happens if it disappears, how do we bring it back up, those types of things. Because the browser is a very, very important feature of this program to use. We need to be able to know how to use it, and it's required that you use it. It needs to be up at all times. So this white rectangular section over here, this area is called the browser. And if you notice here, this one is very, very full. The reason why it's very, very full and there's all kinds of stuff in it is because, well, we made a product. We made a 3D model here. So these are all the different steps that we did to make this 3D model. So we started at the top, and then we did something, did something, did something, did something, then all this stuff. So the most recent thing that we did should be at the bottom here. Now, the browser, so it shows us our history. It allows us to browse our history. It allows us to see what we have done before. What other choices did we make? What kind of adjustments did we make? What did we do for a sketch? What did we do for extrusion? What did we do for a fillet? Those types of things. So this is right now, this is just a part, making a part. We also will have a browser when we're doing an assembly. So it'll be very important to use the browser for then checking our assembly and so on. So one thing I want to show you really quick is let's imagine, whoops, we accidentally got rid of that browser. That's not good. Mr. Cooper says I need it up at all times, so I got to get that back up there. So here's how you bring the browser back up. You go to View, User Interface, Browser. The way to remember that, so again, View, User Interface, and then Browser. So the View tab, it's kind of like saying, hey, what do you want to see on your screen? And then user interface is like, okay, what do you want on your screen for you to use as a user, like the tools and those types of things. And then we click the browser to say, hey, we want to see that browser. Now we got it up. Good. Here's what happened. I want you to imagine I went through this whole process of making this Wii remote, and then I somehow along the way I made my button way too long. I made it stick out way too far. Somebody's like, oh no. What sometimes people first think to do, so when they make a mistake, like, oh, I made my button too long, is that they think, okay, I have to start this whole thing over, I have to start the whole thing over because I made one mistake, that this is not worth saving, I don't know how to fix it, I'm going to completely restart. Now, we don't want to do that. We don't want to completely restart that. No, that's not a good use of our time. If this took me 20 minutes to make, and then to restart it because I have one little mistake, no. That's insane. And like, what if I went through this again? So I go through this thing, and then on minute 19, I make my button again, and then I mess up my button again, or something like that. No, it's just a waste of time. So one reason why we use the browser is to save us time. So if we make mistakes, we can go back and fix those mistakes through our browser instead of completely restarting. Because completely restarting is usually, sometimes we might want to do that depending on what the problem is. But we almost never want to just completely restart because we can just use the browser and go back and fix the problem. Another reason why the browser is great, because let's say I made this product, let's say I 3D printed it or I actually built it out of something, and it ended up being close to what I wanted, but I realized I needed to adjust some things. So it's kind of silly. Why would I completely remake this thing when I could go back in my browser and then I can just make some of those modifications. I could just adjust some of those dimensions or those shapes or whatever. So this is really good for later on when we actually make the thing. You can come back here, make your adjustments that you made, save it, you're good to go. Another thing that's very important for us to do in our browser is to have these pluses open. So extrusion 1, that means that was the first extrusion that I ever did. In order to do an extrusion, I need to have a sketch. So there's a sketch with this extrusion. This is the first sketch that I made, which was the rectangle for the Wii remote, and then I extruded that to give it thickness. So I'm clicking all these pluses, and I go down the line. So I just click all these pluses to open up so I can see these sketches as well. I'm not going to do the rest just to save you some time. So now, let's say I wanted to adjust my Wii remote. Let's just say I made it half an inch too short. So I can look at my sketch, okay, yeah, it's my sketch because my extrusion was to make it like thickness, to have it like some height, whereas this is to stretch it out that way. So I can double click this sketch, and now instead of being 6 inches, let's say I want it to be 6.5. So I just type in 6.5, enter, finish my sketch, and bam, the Wii Remote is longer. So awesome. I did not have to completely restart. I did not have to keep clicking the back button. I just double clicked my sketch 1 and I adjusted it. So now let's say I want to fix this A button because that's obviously sticking out too far. And I just know from experience, like, hey, that's an extrusion. I must have extruded that too far. Whereas the diameter of the circle is okay, but the extrusion is not. So what I can do is I can click these and I can figure out, okay, no, that's not it. That's for that bottom arc. That's for the lower buttons. The fillet, those are for the edges. Extrusion 4. Oh, extrusion 4, that's for the button because it highlighted it, so I know that. Now, I don't need to double click sketch 4 because my sketch is fine. I said the diameter is fine. I need to double click extrusion 4, and then now that's going to allow me to adjust the button. And I just know that it's 1.25. Bam, there we go. Now my button is better. Let's say I didn't even want that letter A button for some reason. Let's say I want it gone. So I can right click it and I can just delete that out of there. Click OK, and A button completely gone. So you can do that as well, but I do want it there, so I'm going to bring it back. So that is how you use the browser. Make sure you're using it.